Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us for our webinar today, Microsoft Donated, Discounted, and Cloud Products Made Clear. Before we get started, I just want to go through a few housekeeping items, so all callers will be muted. If you have questions, you should see a chat box to the left-hand side of your screen. Feel free to ask us questions throughout the presentation, and we will have the last 15 to 30 minutes to answer your questions. If you lose your internet connection, just reconnect by using the link that was emailed to you and try refreshing your browser. If you want to watch the webinar later on, or if you can't stay for the whole thing, it will be archived on our website at TechSoup.org/community/events-webinars. We'll also be sending an email with the presentation, the recording, and all relevant links. If you're on social media, feel free to send us a tweet using hashtag TSWebinars. But like I said, we have a chat section here that we're going to be focused on during the next hour, so please ask your questions in the Q&A box. So just a little bit about TechSoup before we get started. We are in 236 countries and territories, and we work with over 1 million nonprofits. So we want to take this opportunity to understand where you guys are calling from, and this will give you a chance to try out the chat box. So if you want to just type in where you're calling in from, and I can read a few of them out. Okay, we have Long Island, Juneau, Alaska, Connecticut, Florida, Palo Alto, so not too far from us, New Orleans. Cool. Okay, so we have people calling in from all over the country. So just a little bit about our technology partners. We work with companies like Adobe, Intuit, Microsoft, Symantec. You can see we have a pretty large list of technology companies that we work with here, and they all make our mission possible. So today's presentation is going to be focused on Microsoft. So I would like to go ahead and introduce Cameron Jones, who is the Vice President of Services and Solutions here at TechSoup.
Hi. Thank you very much. Good morning and good afternoon to everybody on the phone or on the webinar. I've been with TechSoup for over 10 years now, and I managed the Microsoft program for close to 7 of those years. And I've seen the program undergo some really major shifts over the time. You know, every 2 to 3 years, Microsoft does something that changes the program up and kind of streamlines it. They add things, they change things, and so this is the kind of most recent big shift, and as they adjust their program goals and focus areas. And so this big shift is coinciding with a big change and leap forward for TechSoup in terms of how we serve the nonprofit sector. Of all the programs that TechSoup runs, the Technology Donation Marketplace is the one that is the largest and most familiar to probably all of you on the call. When we started 30 years ago, we were just distributing boxes of on-premise software, those big boxes that came with the 5 disk drives I'm dating myself now, to install on your hard drive. And then over time, we've added programs in the hardware, because you can't use software without hardware. So we have the refurbished hardware program, we have a Dell and Lenovo program, we have Cisco, InFocus. We have added a whole bunch of hardware programs, particularly over the last couple of years. And then as we continue to expand and evolve our offers we do continue to expand and evolve our offers as technology changes. And as our corporate partners start to move to cloud-based subscription model distribution models, we've been adding those types of offers to TechSoup as well. So for example, we added Adobe Creative Cloud and QuickBooks Online a couple of years ago, and now we have added the Microsoft Cloud products to our offers, which is what we're here to talk about. So additionally, we've been hearing a lot from nonprofits, from the events that we do and the calls that we receive from you about the need for kind of more advice and better advice and help with understanding and adopting some of these new technologies. So TechSoup has begun offering a variety of new services to help nonprofits keep their technology modern and secure, which is really important in these days of Facebook hacking and, well, I guess they weren't hacked, but Lots of data breaches that we're seeing around the world. The security of data around nonprofit has become a big hot topic. I know at the Nonprofit Technology Conference that seemed to be the big thing that everyone was talking about. So we're looking to try to help nonprofits set up their systems in a way that best supports their operations and missions and keeps them safe and secure. So we've added those technology support offers to what we offer. And I want to make one thing clear. I know this slide shows that it looks like we're moving nonprofits from traditional desktop to fully cloud-based. And I want to make clear that we're not trying to push everyone to the cloud. This makes sense for a lot of organizations, absolutely, but not for every organization. Every organization has its own circumstances, and it's really core to our mission and the services that we deliver that we're using technology that we're recommending and helping nonprofits use technology that's appropriate to them. And sometimes that's a hybrid of cloud and on-premise. So wanted to make that clear. We're not trying to do a big push. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between on-premise and cloud. I believe by now that most people understand what cloud-based software is, but just in case, it's software that's hosted kind of off someplace far away from you in a secure data center, hopefully, and you access it and use it via the internet. So there are advantages, of course, and disadvantages to both cloud and on-premise products. And I'm going to sum these up really quickly for you at a high level, and of course you can read through these slides later after Seema sends them out to you. So for on-premise products, the one-time expense, many nonprofits prefer this because of uncertainty around funding streams. We see nonprofits that get capacity building grants, for example, and need or want to spend kind of a whole bunch of money all at once and get their tech up to speed. And other nonprofits prefer a more stable cost basis where they're not incurring costs in big spikes over time. On-premise software obviously is what a lot of people are used to. Your staff is going to be familiar and comfortable with it. You don't have to do much retraining when you upgrade the products, but you do need to upgrade them, and you do need to patch them and maintain them, particularly with servers. So you're looking at, for like desktop software, you're looking at upgrading that every 3 to 5 years. With servers, you're doing patching and maintenance and monitoring that is necessary when you have an on-premise server. And then lastly, for on-premise, if you have those summer interns, I know we're getting like 10 or 12 of them in this summer at TechSoup, or volunteers that show up for 2 to 3 months a year, you need to go out and buy licenses for those people to use, to be able to work in your organization. And then when they go away, those licenses just sit there, and you've bought them, you've owned them, it's a sunk cost. Whereas from cloud, as you can see, there are quite a few advantages of the cloud-delivered software that we feel is really relevant to nonprofits. In general, it's a less expensive option for organizations when you look at all the time that you save doing that server monitoring and maintenance and patching that you have to do, upgrading software, buying those licenses that you end up not needing for those volunteers or interns. So the other big advantages of cloud besides cost savings are security and work flexibility. In general, cloud software and infrastructure systems, particularly big kind of enterprise level ones like Microsoft, they're very, very secure. They have all sorts of kind of anti-hacking security profiles in place. They do tons of backup. They move your data around a lot. They have different nodes where data gets moved and secured. And then if they have parts of their cloud that go down, they have other nodes that will pop up and continue service. So their uptime and their service availability is quite strong. So that's the security kind of benefit of the cloud. And then you also have the flexibility aspect to it, where your staff working on cloud software can pretty much work anywhere, and it makes for more productive people. I know that when I was on vacation in Colorado and I didn't have my laptop, and somebody called and said I needed to look at a spreadsheet for a big grant proposal, I could go down to the local library, which has public access computers, and log into my SharePoint site and look at the spreadsheet and make my edits and close it down and go away. And that was, something that enabled a whole lot of flexibility and a lot of benefit to the organization. Now there are other issues here about work-life balance, which I won't get into today. So those are sort of the advantages that we see from the cloud. Obviously, the disadvantages, depending on, again, the funding streams and the financial kind of evenness of your organization, costs are spread out over time. So you're paying a monthly subscription fee for cloud products as opposed to an all at once kind of spending for on-premise. And then one of the other big disadvantages I always hear about cloud is, well, you're dependent on an internet connection. What if the internet goes down? Well, I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but our internet goes down sometimes here in San Francisco, and I pick up my laptop and I walk across the street to the Starbucks, and I can continue to work or I go home and I can work from there. So, that's a big advantage, I know, to a lot of organizations to have that flexibility to be able to move around and work where and when they need to. Okay, so enough about premise and cloud. The changes. So what are the changes? So as of April 3rd, we implemented a bunch of changes as requested by Microsoft, and there are three major areas. So first of all, in the donation program that you're all familiar with, Microsoft wanted to focus this program on the needs of the smallest nonprofits, and the vast majority of nonprofits actually have fewer than 50 staff. So this program has really been optimized for that segment of the sector, which means the premium or enterprise level products have been removed from the donation program, but the most popular products and requested products remain, like Office Standard, Windows Operating System, Exchange Standard. In addition, for the donation program, title groups have been removed. So you can request up to 50 licenses for any individual product over 2 years. That's a change for, like in the past, you were able to request Office Standard, only 50 licenses Office Standard, and then if you needed like Office Mac, you were maxed out of your limits. Now you can get up to 50 licenses Office Mac if you have Macs in your office as well. So on the license limit, there's one exception for servers, which I think is the ongoing, that I don't think has changed, which is you can get up to 5 licenses total for the server products. So that's the donation program. Not a lot of changes, some products that are removed, but again, the most popular products still remain. On the discounted program, these are completely new to TechSoup. They're the same products, but at a discount rate instead of a donation. So you have both the premium and enterprise level products in this program, as well as the standard products. And the discounted products are available in unlimited quantities. So if you need 10 or if you need 10,000, you can get unlimited numbers of these licenses at the discount rate. I will note that the Microsoft nonprofit discount products are available both through TechSoup and through other commercial resellers. So if you work with other resellers, you will be able to find them there. The pricing may vary, but generally the pricing for discounted products is between 60 and 75% off of commercial rates. So the third big area of change is the cloud. And the Microsoft Cloud products like Office 365, which are now available directly through TechSoup. So you used to be able to only get nonprofit cloud pricing direct from Microsoft, and you can still get it direct from Microsoft today, but you can also request licenses and then you can also request cloud licenses now, not only through TechSoup, but there are also I believe a few select commercial resellers, and then also our friends over at Tech Impact, a nonprofit capacity building organization similar to TechSoup. They also make cloud licenses available. So let's see, moving on to the next slide. So before these changes, if you wanted to get on-premise discounted and donated product and cloud, you needed to go to 3 different places. You could get your donated products through TechSoup. You had to go to some commercial reseller to get your discounted products, and then to get nonprofit cloud products, you had to get them directly through Microsoft. But now you can get all 3 directly through TechSoup in one kind of experience. And I want to clarify that, again, there are other options available, but there is a one unified experience to come and get them through TechSoup. And so both the on-premise products, the ones that you install on your computer, and the cloud products, they have donation and discount components available. And I went through a lot of that just on the previous slide, but I wanted to call out a couple things around the on-premise donation program. Microsoft makes these products available at no cost, and then TechSoup charges a small admin fee, which goes to support our work, including webinars like this one, and articles that we write, our forums where people can come in and ask questions on different technology issues that they have, and then our free online courses. So that's what the TechSoup admin fee that is on the donation program goes to cover. And again, the discounted products are available at the discount off of commercial rates, and those include some of these Office Professional Plus, Exchange and SQL Server Enterprise, Remote Desktop. And you can see kind of the whole catalog is available on TechSoup.org for those products. For the Microsoft Cloud Office 365 products, they also have a donated and discounted component to them. So there are 2 free Office 365 licenses. There's Business Essentials, which has a 300 license limit per organization. And then there's the E1 Enterprise license, which is also free, and that is limited to 2,000 licenses per organization. So both of these free license SKUs, and those are free as in $0, TechSoup isn't putting an admin fee on those products. Both of those free license options include cloud-hosted Exchange for email. So you no longer have to have that Exchange server in your closet. You can have Microsoft Exchange hosted by Microsoft, and all of your email is hosted in the cloud so that you don't have that maintenance of that server to deal with. And that's honestly the biggest and most popular feature of Office 365 is that hosted email. Then you also have Office online web apps for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and Outlook. And web apps are, if you're familiar with, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna say this. If you're familiar with Google Docs, it's the same type of engagement in that you go through a browser and you work on those applications through an internet connection. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. I know. Okay. That's all right. You think I'm going to be okay? Yeah. So the web apps, those come with Office 365, the 2 free licenses, and then you also have online document storage and collaboration through SharePoint Online and OneDrive. So SharePoint and OneDrive are both document storage applications, and then SharePoint is the one where you can do collaboration, so you can co-edit documents online with colleagues that are located elsewhere. So for the Office 365 discount licenses, these come with the installed version of Office. So if you are commuting home on the bus and you need to work on that document the way I do pretty much every day, you can have the installed version on your laptop, and you can work on that. And then when you get back to an internet connection, you can sync that back into if that document is housed in the cloud. But it means the discount licenses, they come with that installed version of Office. And the other benefit of the discount licenses, obviously they have other features and functionality and more advanced features and functions than the donated licenses. primarily that's around security, so they have slightly more robust security features and compliance features. So if you're an organization that works with children or you collect health information on your constituents, you may need or want those higher level licenses for your organization. But not everybody in your organization needs to be on the same license. And this is kind of the beauty of the way Microsoft has set up their cloud products, is that you can get the free licenses for your contractors or your interns or your admin staff, and then give your executive director or your legal person or your accountant the discounted licenses where they get the something like email archiving for legal hold purposes, for example. So they have those more kind of robust security features and storage features that might be needed by your upper management. There's also now a special license for volunteers. There used to be a lot of confusion around who in the organization could use Office 365 licenses, and volunteers were not really supposed to be able to access it. It had to be actual staff. Now Microsoft has a new F1 license that has just been made available at nonprofit pricing, which you can turn on and off, which is super handy if you have volunteers that kind of come in for a couple months and then go. So that's a new license that's available. So one of the big questions that we have been getting over and over again, and I'm just going to answer this one right out of the gate, is can I use, I already have Office, the installed version of Office, can I use that with the free E1 licenses to have the installed, have the installed version kind of experience? And the answer is yes, you can. So if you got the donated Office standard through TechSoup, you can use that with your E1 license, get all the benefits of having your email in the cloud and SharePoint in the cloud and all of that, and then you can use your installed version of Office to work offline when you're on the bus. Another question we get a lot is what's the difference between the two free licenses, the Business Essentials and the E1? So the answer to that one is that the two business licenses, there's a free one and then there's a discounted one. The free one is Business Essentials, and the Business Premium is the discounted one. These both have, in addition to being limited to 300 licenses, these both have more limitations around when it comes to security features and Active Directory integration. So I can give you a little bit more, I can get you details on how to find out more about that later. But there are those differences, and honestly, we mostly tell organizations that if they're both free, and so we'll tell organizations, like, if you don't anticipate growing very much, if you're a church or an animal shelter and you're not dealing with a lot of secure information, and you have a fixed 5 or so people and you're not anticipating growing, those business level licenses are probably appropriate for your organization. But if you anticipate growth, if you have security needs, Active Directory integration needs, then you really want to look at the enterprise licenses. And then lastly on this, other cloud products besides Office 365. Microsoft has a whole bunch of other cloud products, and some of them are standalone and some of them are bundles. I'm going to call out one of the add-on products, which is Office 365 Pro Plus. It's essentially the installed version of Office, but as a subscription. So you're essentially renting Office. The benefit of that, again, is that you're not paying for a license up front. You can turn it on and off. And also, as Microsoft adds features and functionalities and new stuff to PowerPoint and new capabilities to Word, those get pushed to you automatically, and so you don't have to go through like an upgrade and reinstallation of those applications every couple of years. And so often we see a lot of organizations getting like one of the free Office 365 licenses, and then either getting the installed version through TechSoup, or they get the add-on Office 365 Pro Plus, and that one's $3 per user per month. So it ends up being less than the E3 license. Okay, and then there are bundles. I'll talk really quickly. What is Microsoft 365? That's confusing a lot of people. Microsoft 365 is essentially a bundle of Office 365, Windows 10 operating system, and then EMS plus security, Enterprise Mobility. EMS is Enterprise Mobility Suite. And it's a subscription plan that kind of covers all the applications and all the features and functions that you might need. There are 2 levels of that product, and I will talk about that later in the presentation. But basically, it puts you into a situation where you're on a subscription to pay for everything Microsoft related, your operating system, your desktop applications, and your email and your SharePoint. Plus, you get the security features and the mobile management for mobile devices. Lost my arrow on this. Can you advance me to the next slide? I can't.
Yeah. Yep.
I've lost my
Also, I just want to let Cameron take a water break. And if you guys have questions about the things that she's talking about, please use the chat box. Now is your time to get some clarification on the updates, so we're happy to hear from you.
Okay, thank you. I don't know where my cursor went on my. All right, so how do you get all these products from TechSoup? So for the on-premise products, both the donated and discounted, you get them the old-fashioned way. You can request them the way you have always requested anything through TechSoup. They're available in our catalog. And as you can see, we've added a handy little blue flag to those products that are donated to help you more easily identify those from the discounted versions. And those are called, the discounted versions are also called out in the title as well. So that's standard process for those. For the discounted products, there is now an extra step that's been required by Microsoft, which involves getting a certificate that is issued through the Microsoft portal, and more information is available on that process on our website. So how to request the Microsoft Cloud products. So for the cloud products, because these are distributed differently by Microsoft than the traditional on-premise products, we at TechSoup are in the process of setting up a self-service capability to let nonprofits request those products directly from a catalog, just like the rest of our on-premise products. So that self-serve ordering process is going to be available in a couple of weeks, but in the meantime, we have a team of Microsoft licensed experts who are available for you to talk to, and they will help give you advice on which products make sense for your organization, and they will also help you place your order and get everything processed. And also they'll help you figure out your, there's this whole thing called the Microsoft Tenant ID, which if you're going to have a cloud subscription, you have to sign up and get this special ID from Microsoft, and there's a whole process around that our staff can help you with as well. So you fill out this form, and one of our friendly staff will contact you, or it might be me, because many of us are getting on, across TechSoup, many of us are getting on the phone and answering questions and talking to customers, and so you may get me on the phone. And how you find the form. The form is found on the Microsoft, the Office 365 product page on TechSoup. If you go to that page, you will, there was a button that says Get Office 365, and that will take you to this form. And that link will be available. That's at the end of this presentation, so if you need that. All right. So really quick overview, again, of Office 365. 4 main components. Regardless of license level, these 4 components kind of all are part of the Office 365 offer. Hosted email, those Office applications that we know and love. File storage through both SharePoint and OneDrive for Business. And then some collaboration and communication features. So there's SharePoint for collaboration, Skype for Business, which is like a communications. It's sort of like you can use it for webinars, you can use it for phone calls, you can use it for screen sharing. And then Yammer, which is a kind of an in-house, internal social media site where you can use it like you would use Facebook or something, but it stays internal to your organization. And then one of the other things I like about Office 365, particularly on the E3 licenses, is I can install those applications on up to 5 devices. So I have my Word, Office, PowerPoint. I have it on my work computer, on my home computer, on my phone, and on my iPad. Again, I clearly have difficulty separating work and home life. Another issue. But and then again, so I have a 5th device. So if I happen to be someplace and I need to download those Office applications onto whatever computer I happen to be in front of at my parents' house on vacation or someplace else, I can go and download those applications, work locally, and then I can disable that license on that computer when I leave. So one of the flexibility benefits. And then nonprofit pricing for Microsoft Cloud. There are lots, in addition to the Office 365, as I mentioned before, Microsoft has a bunch of other cloud-based applications available. As you can see, although Office 365 is kind of the big flagship product, there are applications like Power BI, which handle data analytics. The enterprise mobility and security, that's for managing mobile devices across your organization, particularly when you have this bring your own device scenario in your organization where everyone's got their own phones, but everyone wants email on their phones. That enables you to manage that at a central level. These are standalone products, but they are really designed to integrate with Office 365, and their interoperability makes for more productive workflows. Again, Microsoft 365 is that bundle I was talking about, Office 365 plus Windows 10 plus EMS. This is a great option that for organizations that have all of their software is really in the dark ages, and you need to get everybody up onto more modern technology. This is a great option to just get everyone moved up to the same operating system and software version and up-to-date operating system that is patched and secure. So, and of course, again, you can mix and match this as well and give licenses around like the enterprise mobility and security to people like my colleague Lynn, who travels all over the world and needs updated security and mobile options as she moves around and connects to the internet from Nairobi and Kuala Lumpur and Warsaw and places like that. So, and then people like Mark in our reporting team get Power BI because he's using that tool to analyze the metrics that we track, like how many people attend this webinar, for example, and stay all the way to the end, which tells how popular the topic is and how effective a presenter I am. So please stay on so my metrics are good. All right, and lastly, TechSoup support services. So I mentioned this at the beginning of the presentation. We have launched a variety of technology support services to help nonprofits choose, adopt, and make the best use of technology. Again, that's our mission. That's what we do all day, every day. Our Office 365 implementation offer includes advice on which licenses to choose for your staff. It provides a guidance on any upgrades you need to make to your existing systems to ensure that Office 365 works. For example, you can't run it with Windows XP. So that managed migration service will help you not only do the migration, but also make sure you have it all configured properly so that it operates correctly. And then once you're all set up, we have a couple of different levels of support options that can help your staff or just your IT administrator manage and support Office 365 for your organization on an ongoing basis that can offload some of the more mundane troubleshooting tasks like password resets and things like that allows your IT manager to focus on more strategic projects. And then for those DIYers out there that want to learn more about how to get the most out of all the different Office 365 applications, we have a set of courses. We have 3 today, and we are creating several more over the next couple of months. But increasing your security using the Microsoft Cloud, optimizing productivity in the cloud, Power BI Bootcamp, and we have a couple of more of those coming. So, and again, I want to stress as a nonprofit ourselves, we're really trying to help you all make the best technology decisions for your organizations. So although we do charge for these services, we're not interested in selling you anything you don't need. We work really hard to develop service offers that are affordable and relevant to you, and we would love to help you out in any way we can if you need us. But if you're more comfortable working with your IT company down the street, that's okay too. We're here to talk. We're here to give you some advice, and we can get you a quote on services if you want to run that by your board. So yeah. That's on our services, and then here are some key links for you that will give you access to the information, some of the information and resources I've mentioned today that may be helpful to you. And now we can open it up to questions.
All right. Thank you, Cameron, for the presentation. So if you guys have questions, please send them to us in the chat box. So we're going to spend the next 20 minutes or so just answering some of the questions that we've already gotten. So, all right, I'm going to start off with if you could maybe explain what is Dynamics 365 and Power BI?
Okay. Well, so Power BI, I think I mentioned that a couple times. It's a data analytics tool. It allows you to take your data and visualize it in pretty charts and graphs for your board report or for publishing on your website. It also helps you do the kind of data analytics that you really need to understand your programs and their impact and their effectiveness. I know impact is a big area of, a lot of funders are asking for more statistics and proof of impact, and so this is a tool that can really help you dig that out of the data that you have. Dynamics 365 is a CRM that Microsoft offers that also integrates with Office 365. It is a cloud product that you can get directly from Microsoft. It's not available through TechSoup, but it's a robust CRM that helps you manage your relationships with your donors or with your constituents. And I know Microsoft has been building different, like modules or templates for Dynamics 365 specifically for the nonprofit sector to help customize some of those fields and workflows that in ways that are specific to nonprofit needs.
Okay, so we have a question around, in terms of hardware and software server maintenance, how does cloud computing kind of eliminate that? I mean, and maybe that's more of a too technical question for this webinar.
No, I mean, for server maintenance, obviously if you have your Exchange server or your SharePoint server and it's sitting in your cloud, or if you have it hosted, even if you have it hosted by somebody like Rackspace, you still may need to spend a lot of time making sure it's staying patched, making sure those updates are being pushed, making sure it's getting backed up. When Microsoft hosts those servers for you, when all that's hosted in the Microsoft cloud, all of that work is automated. So you as an IT manager don't have to deal with that anymore. You don't have to worry about pushing the patches and the security updates. You don't have to worry about the backup because that's all handled by Microsoft. They back that stuff up not only on site, so they have a couple of big data centers around the world, and then they have, as offshoots of those data centers, data center nodes. And your data is not just held in one data center. It's held in several different data centers, and it gets moved around all the time, which is part of the security features that that they have in place so it's not only like guards and guard dogs and razor wire around the actual cloud facility data center itself. It's also moving your data around all the time. So if somebody's trying to hack in and get a specific organization's data, it's being moved. I think it's every 90 seconds it gets moved from server to server. So it's a very secure system, and it eliminates that whole scope of work that IT managers have to deal with when they're dealing with on-premise servers.
Got it. Okay. And then in terms of, I think one question that we're getting quite a bit, and I know you touched upon this earlier, but can people combine the donated and the discounted?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can combine and mix and match to your heart's delight. You can
Perfect.
combine the donated and discounted on-premise with the donated and discounted cloud. Go
Great.
crazy.
Okay.
And actually, I did a whole exercise I've done this with a couple of organizations now where I've kind of laid out their options. Like, you could go full Microsoft 365 and not do anything that's on-premise. You can do a mixture of on-premise and cloud. And there are lots of different options and ways to mix and match, and they all have different kind of price points around them.
Okay. So we have actually a question. If somebody's unsure of which one to choose, is there a fee for the support person to kind of help our TechSoup members choose the right software?
No. I mean, so the form that I talked about earlier that you can fill out and get one of our team to give you a call, and they will talk you through to the best of their ability. If you have, if you want to do kind of more strategic long-term planning or more strategic planning around your Office 365 implementation, then I would recommend a kind of a managed migration contract where we will not only talk you through how to which licenses you want to get and which most appropriate for your different staff members, but then also kind of how you go about the implementation and helping you think through all of that. So, yeah, but
Okay.
getting a quote for the managed migration is free, and having that initial discussion with the team is also free.
Perfect. Okay, and we'll be sending out URLs that'll help you find all of this information.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a question about, is there special licensing for installing Office on a server?
Special licensing for installing Office on a server. So like a virtual server? I don't know.
Yeah, I can get some clarification. So Andrea, if you want to send us more details on that, we can try and get that answered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's another question. How can I migrate from an Office 365 home to Office 365 nonprofit account?
So Office 365 Home, I don't think that is something that you can migrate over. You have to go and get a new tenant from a new tenant ID from Microsoft directly, and then that will get validated as a nonprofit tenant. And then to migrate stuff like email or files over from your home version to your nonprofit tenant, that is a more technical question than I am able to answer. I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah.
I know it's possible. It's probably a project. It's probably like a migration project.
Okay. Yeah, and then we can, if you want to.
And that's something that we can quote on.
Yeah.
We can get you a quote on what's involved in that.
Okay. So there's a question about our classes. So we can send out more information about the cost of our classes. Some are free and some are for a cost. So Linda, we can get that information to you with the URLs after the webinar.
So TechSoup courses, there's a link to it on the TechSoup.org homepage. Our classes are generally structured in 3 levels. You have a basic level that's free, introductory level that's a course, and then we have kind of 201 level courses, which are usually around $40 or $50. And then we have 301 classes, which tend to be more like seminar. They instructor-led. They're over time. They're live. And I think we have a couple of those, and I know we have more in the pipeline.
Okay. So we have another question going back to the Power BI. Does the data Power BI analyzes have to be in a specific program or format? There is definitely,
as we've always seen when we have done Power BI projects, that there is always data cleanup that needs to happen. The specifics on what kind of structure and kind of format your data needs to be in, you can look on the Microsoft website, and there's a lot of information about that. But if you need help with migrating your data or getting your data into shape, cleaned up, I know at TechSoup we've been around for 30 years. We have a lot of data, and a lot of it we've been undergoing a big cleanup effort ourselves. So we do have a service that will help you figure out your data and get that cleaned up and get it in shape for analysis with the Power BI tool.
Okay. Perfect. So there's a question if somebody was the contact that was associated with the original, this is a general TechSoup question, but if they were the contact associated with Microsoft and then that person left, and then how do they transfer credentials? And because they were trying to get access, but
okay, so if around your TechSoup account, if you had somebody who was kind of the owner of your TechSoup account, that person can, and that person has left. If you call TechSoup customer service, we will get the credentials replaced by whoever is the new kind of contact at your organization for your TechSoup account.
Perfect. All right. So,
and I believe there's a webinar next Tuesday, that is going to be covering TechSoup and all things TechSoup.
Yep, we have a TechSoup tour on 4/24 if you guys want to attend that to get more information. So we had that question earlier about the special licensing for installing Office on a server. She said one of them is a remote desktop server. Many of my users have thin clients that need full versions of Office products. I need to install Office on the remote desktop.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm going to take that question. Do we have contact information?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to take that question back to one of our more technical people and circle back with you.
Okay, perfect. All right. If you guys, looks like we don't have any more questions at this time.
There was the library question that came in.
Yes.
I don't know if we have any library people on the call here today, but there was a library question that came in on the pre-form about public libraries and whether they can get these Microsoft products also through TechSoup. So today, libraries can get the donated products through TechSoup. Those are available to public libraries for their public access computers only. And again, they can get up to 50 licenses per location, library location. So if your town or municipality has 3 libraries, each site can get up to 50 licenses. But those donated licenses are only available for the public access computing, so public-facing computers that the public can come in and use, not for staff or back office computers. The discount program is not available right now for public libraries. We're talking with Microsoft about that. And also the cloud products are not yet available to libraries through TechSoup. Again, something we're working on. So stay tuned. If you're a public library person, get on the TechSoup for Libraries newsletter. Any updates there, we will definitely push out through that newsletter.
Perfect. We actually got a couple more questions that came in while you were speaking. So I think you touched upon this earlier, but how many people in my organization can have access to Office 365 apps such as Outlook and Microsoft?
Again, depending on which license you get, if you get the Business Essentials or Business Premium license, those are limited to 300 for your organization. But if you're going for the Enterprise, if you're asking about limits, then you're probably a bigger organization. So you're going to want to be on the Enterprise license. The E1, free E1 licenses are limited to 2,000 users, and then any of the paid discount licenses are unlimited. So you can, if you have 10, I know World Vision, they have 10,000 people, and no, they have 30,000 people around the world, and they can get as many of those discount licenses as they need.
Perfect.
I doubt anyone's much bigger than World Vision.
Okay. How big is World Vision?
They're about 35,000 people.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. So if you guys don't have any more questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. So Here's the URL for the Microsoft Software Donation and Discount Program. Again, we're going to be sending everything out via email once the webinar is over, so you should expect that in the next 24 hours. So one thing that we like to do is we like to ask our audience if there's anything that you learned in today's webinar. Please send us a chat. We'd love to hear from you. Also, we have a post-event survey, so once the webinar is over, any feedback that you have for us is always really helpful. If you're on social media, please give us some social media love. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We also have a blog where we post a lot of tips and tricks and how-to, so we'll be posting a lot of Microsoft information in the coming months that should be helpful to you and your organization.
Yeah.
We have a few webinars that are coming up in the next few weeks. So we have a TechSoup tour, like Cameron mentioned earlier, that's happening next Tuesday. We have a webinar on 5/1 about serving for nonprofits, and then Grant Station will be here with us on 5/8, and then we have another grant-related webinar on 5/10. So please feel free to join us for any of those. So lastly, I would like to thank Cameron again for all of that valuable information. And on the back end, we have Lashika, whose name you might have seen if you were asking questions, for helping us there. And thank you for joining us.